to have that sort of counter. You know, obviously you can, like you mentioned, they could flex it over to the jungle and have it be like a sort of soft ban on their opponents here. So, you know, both sides, it seems like Team Secret's kind of like playing the reactive drafting style right here, rather than, you know, reacting to how MBR Esports is drafting.
I think it's interesting that they brought out the Lee Sin. Trevor is very, very good on the Lee Sin. But even more interesting, we have Nunu. This is a very controversial, would you say, pick that happened yesterday. D2, I'm eager to hear your thoughts on this, especially since, you know, now you're on the desk. You saw the matches from yesterday. What are your thoughts on the Nunu?
I mean, I gotta use a Uno pass card here and pass it over to Omo because I don't even know. Okay, there's so much
let me jump right in.
Put me in, coach. Put me in, coach. We have Tatsuri on the Fizz. Go ahead, Omo.
No, I really love the 4-5 here from the side of MBR because when you think about the last pick options available for Team Secret, it's mid lane, right? And then you think, okay, what mid laner can I pick into Nunu that survives and stops the snowball? You go Ahri. That's the best one because I can charm him, break his snowball. What's the fifth pick from the side of MBR? They go Nunu, Ahri in tandem. They just deny that combo completely. And when you see Team Secret's team composition, they're left with picks that cannot stop Snowball. Really, really good 4-5 here for MBR. I think that adaptation was brilliant in the draft, but that does mean they will have to play the Riven into Renekton matchup, and it really comes down to Azar. I think he's the one that needs to step up here. He's the one that has been a bit shaky in my books, and I want to see how he does against Onion King.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that we see Tatsuri bringing out the Fizz right here because we're wondering when he's going to bring up more of the aggressive mid laners instead of just going with the more conservative picks. He does go for the Fizz here. Feels like they need that aggression coming out from him to take this one down, and it might work out.
Hopefully it does indeed, but MBR looking strong here with their draft Team Secret. Let's find out what they're up to as we head into Game 1 of this series. Casters, take it away.
Thank you much there, Mika. Yes, indeed. Let's kick it off with our second series of the night. And MBR is taking on Team Secret. Both of these teams on the fringes of making the top 4 and looking for a very powerful day today, TJ.
Yeah, and this is actually a very exciting draft, Skimmy, because everything that MBR has brought here is all of the exciting stuff I've been freaking out to you about kind of behind the scenes and on camera for the last couple of days. They're benefiting from the Nunu tank.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this Nunu tank as the tournament's gone on become more and more prevalent, become stronger. Look, ever so exciting as we have a bit of a kumbaya in the mid lane, a bit of a campfire, saying hello and saying that, yo.
Roasting some marshmallows. You know how it is, Skimmy.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit of sugar. Why not? Keep the blood sugar levels up nice and high and back to laning phase. Except, look at Tobu.
Except, Tovu's just camping out here on the top lane.
Yeah, hits there for locks him in place. Procs the ignite as well. Drops it down to half and says, well, I can't really punish you for the honey fruit, but yeah, beware of the level 1 Jana gank.
I don't really know what the point of that was, but they got like 10 damage, Skimmy.
That's scary. And look, I've seen scarier things. Maybe the level 1 cheese with a Brom, sure, but you know, Tobu, he's filling himself. Why not?
Oh, he just lost that entire wave. Azure just walked away from the turret, and that entire wave just crashed. It shook him, Skimmy. It broke his mental. The level 1 Jana gang just cost him so much gold. Look, he's like 200 gold behind.
Yeah, but I suppose you could say the same for the bot lane as well, right? Like, Alio is definitely behind as well as a result. I mean, who really comes out ahead in the end?
You absolutely could, Skimmy. And to be clear, I do not approve of the level 1 Jana gang. It didn't make any sense.
Well, let's see what it does mean.
If you go Tornado, he didn't even go Tornado. If you go Tornado, I believe, because then you have CC, right?
Oh, please, no.
Tobu, please.
Okay, well, he's just going to burn the flash and walk away.
Trevor's going to clean this up.
Hanging around here, isn't he? He's looking for the kill. He flashes on in, hits the Sonic Wave, and says, that's my kill. Maybe we'll just turn our attention to Tobu. Oh, clutch Eye of the Storm. The shield is there. He's buying so much time. Where are the rotations, TJ? Do we find them? Oh, well, Fizz shakes his booty, picks up the kill. Radiant has to answer, but he can't, which is crazy to me. Lee Sin gets the kill as well. And Onion King, somehow off-screen, is getting kills too. What are we watching?
Skimmy!
Oh, dear.
I feel like I'm watching Origin series. I don't know what to do.
No. Oh, no, it's too early. It's cursed.
Alves did find the gank up top off camera. I want to highlight that because I can explain that. That's how Azure died. Alves was camping up in that top lane for at least an hour, and they did finally convert on that pressure, get a kill for MBR. what happened down bottom is a little more inexplicable, because the entire time that Trevor was working on those Krugs, he was on a ward. MBR knew he was there. I cannot stress this enough. Tobor and Atlier knew that Trevor was in that bush waiting for them to be low HP. And the only sensible thing to do there is either to play hard defense behind the turret or to fall all the way off of that turret and just play behind the tier 2 so that you can't be ganked, given that the rest of your team is in the top line.
Yeah, I mean, it's just wild to me that, you know, these plays, I'm not going to say go unpunished, because they certainly are, but I mean, we're just looking at even states despite all this weird action in the first 3 minutes.
And just to, like, build on this here, I actually don't know what to make of the Team Secret draft. They have this Galio Xayah, which are like very antithetical. Xayah wants to play defense in lane, not super pokey. Galio wants to full commit. So that doesn't really work for me as a duo lane. I prefer basically anything else to be paired with the Galio. The other thing is, the reason you play Galio support is typically because you've got a lot of dives that you're worried about. There's nobody who's diving over on MBR, so I think the actual answer is that Team Secret are a team that needs a little bit more tank, and maybe a Thresh would have done better there. Honestly, maybe a Leona would have done better there, given the lane opponents. But that's, you know, draft criticism.
What about
as
this,
far as
though,
execution?
What about if they've got all the dive? How about, you know, Team Secret themselves? They've got all the dives. So Galio's just forced sending it in with the Lee Sin and Fizz.
Yeah, so that's where I was going. As far as execution, the way Team Secret play this is they just forget Chewie exists and full send it, and Chewie just throws out some feathers from the back of the team fight, and eventually that'll matter because he'll do late game damage. And that's basically the game we're playing, but I don't know why.
Well, you know, sometimes these questions do get left unanswered unless we do get some of those answers in this game, which, I mean, as far as we're understanding, could just be a case of champions fully sending it in the first 15 minutes and then waiting for these 2 AD carries that need those critical chance items to say, hey, did you forget about us? You know, we can still do things too.
But also, this is a game with a Nunu in it, so Team Secret full sending are going to full send onto a tank Nunu, who I think is just going to welcome them to the party, drop the absolute zero, have a great time.
I mean, reliably, what kind of interrupts do we have? I guess it really is up to, you know, the stun from the Renekton, the taunt from the Galio, perhaps even a kick if you're really concerned there by the Lee Sin. But otherwise, I think the panel, you know, really raised a good point about, you know, this Nunu becoming more and more of a threat where the meta champions just don't really answer the snowball engage.
Yeah, and that's something that we do need to pay attention to, is the role of Nunu, because I'm speculating how these fights will play out. We don't really know yet.
We don't know, but what we do know is that when a Galio face checks the Nunu, apparently he feels the pain and the burden, and a kill goes out, a monsoon is procced, and that is a Fox dead on the ground. Now, we are still chasing. A killer instinct to back up his boy in Tobu, because apparently Janna needs to be protected in that same fashion. Alia still looking for the kill, finds it, takes that Tatsuri. They're going to look for another kill onto Hermes, who was already low beforehand. The mitigation is there from the passive, but they're going to turn their sights onto Trebor instead, and one by one, the domino effect is in full action.
MBR find 2 kills off of the power of the Kai'Sa, which means that Atlier is going to be terrifying coming into the late game. This is going to be a very big Kai'Sa, which very likely gives them an important game win over Team Secret here. I'm not talking about that. You can't make me. And that's going to be very likely decisive going into the late game, because Team Secret, even though they're relatively even on gold, don't have something that can answer a Kai'Sa. They don't have the same amount of tank shred that's available. All of their damage, as far as engage, is going to come either in the form of burst from this Fizz, from this Lee Sin, or from Renekton.
Well, I was going to bring up the point, is this is going to be a game then of mechanics, but Chum the Waters misses. Apparently does not matter, they can still kill secure. Herod has also been summoned off screen, and yeah, I mean, Team Secret, they're doing the thing.
That wasn't a mechanics check, that was a macro check. Atlier had no business walking through that jungle alone. It is absurd that he's doing that. He knew that there was a gank there. He knew that Team Secret were working on the bottom lane from that jungle, and he just walked through it and goes down. And yeah, that does hurt the Kaiser win condition that just got boosted up. I'm
Weird
Omo
times.
today, Skimmy.
Yeah,
this game
weird
has
times.
turned me into Omo. I don't know what to do with myself.
It's an early day. Look, I know we love the Omo buff. It usually comes out about 10 hours into a broadcast, but you know, bright and early, literally for yourself over in Cali.
No, this is 11 p.m. This is midnight for me.
Oh, no, we're gonna call that bright and early because I mean it's 4 p.m. here for me in Sydney. So
If you give
we'll
me
round up.
15 more minutes, it'll be 1 a.m. and then we're bright and early.
The technicalities. What do we expect here?
is-
Second Drake.
Yeah, and it looks like MBR are setting up on it early, which is good for their team composition. If they can survive the initial burst engage from Lee Sin and Fizz, then they have the fight made. I'm not sure they can, though.
It's going to be very hard to steal it away from Nunu, isn't it? And it's going to be the Smite and the Charm, and now try and force the fight afterwards. Tripple's already gone. Hummage jumps in a little bit too late, but hits a two-man taunt. Now Tatsuri working his way towards these key carry threats. Radiant's removed. Now on the prowl here for Alio, who's burnt double summoners. He's running to the Baron lane, or to the Baron lane, to the Dragon lane. They're both objectives, and ultimately the Dragon is what's claimed. But MBR
Watch
are
Onion
low.
King.
The feathers are there. Notice this one, TJ. They're looking for these kills. They're turning it around. They've been overextended. Team Secret are too keen for blood. And MBR happy.
Yeah, a very scattered team fight, and Team Secret commit onto Alier, who just runs down to the bottom lane, staying alive. Onion King flanks in, provides that front line. That's a free kill. Provides that front line. And MBR are able to walk away from the trading very positively, especially as Radiance just gets handed a free win by Azur, who apparently disrespects the RE charm.
We've seen a few solo solos today, haven't we? I mean, it really isn't all about these team fights and skirmishes around these
Yeah,
objectives.
this is
These
a
players,
wild game.
they're
This
filling each
is
other.
actually, like, just to kind of frame this in the context of the group, this is actually, I think, a really terrible form for Team Secret to be showing here. They're normally a team that's known for how well they play map states, how well they play team play, and this looks much more like their weakest games during the regular season of the PPGL, the Philippines Region Pro League, because they're not playing as a team here. They're just kind of wandering around the map and looking for fights.
And they're going to do it again, aren't they? Looking for it right now as the snowball comes barreling into the top lane. The Monsoon to try and split that fight apart. Elvish channeling the absolute zero, but not going to find the kill thereafter. A nice knock-up as the Lee Sin kick goes out. The charm isn't there to turn things around. And everybody just walks away.
Well, all of Team Secret walk away. MBR stay here, obviously, and they're just going to take this turret. Now, why did Team Secret back away from that turret? I guess they thought they couldn't win the fight for it. I think they could have held. What's going to happen is they're going to trade 1-for-1 across the map and go back and get some valuable item spikes. Tatsuri getting Rabadons is very important. You also are most of the way to Chewy being a serious damage threat in this late game. I want to highlight the way Xayah works as a result of that, because the Xayah is going to need to match what Earlier is doing if they want a hope of winning this late game. And the big thing about Xayah is that you're looking for the Xayah to take fights defensively. They have one big iframe, the Featherstorm, which gives them temporary invulnerability whilst they're kind of flying above the air. And that needs to be spent as the major disengage to fall backwards so that you get maximum value out of the Blade Caller afterwards. That means it's a little bit hard because Xayah doesn't, as a result, have an engage tool. You're never going to be able to use that Featherstorm to start fights or to chase. So Team Secret, a little bit of a disconnected comp in that way.
Yeah, and I'm really curious, actually, to your point, right, how we are going to see these team fights play out, because from what we've seen so far, it is Team Secret fully just getting themselves into a position to say, we're taking this fight, whether you like it or not. Do you have an answer? And most of the time, MBR have said, yes, you know, we do have these answers, but what does that fight look like when the Featherstorm has to be utilized? Well, there's the charm. There's the orb afterwards. There's the all-in with the ignite. He's going to fall on down. Is he going to use the Featherstorm?
He's dead.
Apparently not. Grievous wounds was enough to nullify the summoner heal, and he is just dead, as you say.
And that's a solo kill just found by Radiance, who's having his second really impressive game this tournament. His second solo kill, just dancing through the entirety of Team Secret, unpunished to find that kill. And this will result in MBR being able to take some pretty dominant control of the game with their key carries, their key pick characters, getting so much gold here. You talk about the Kaiser, you talk about Radiance on this Ari, and that's the exact kind of character that thrives in this messy style of game where you can just jump in and do damage. There's a reason, I'm gonna say it again, there's a reason these characters are so popular in the Summoner series in North America and the Origin series in Europe.
But here we are in the Sea Champs, where things maybe a little bit different as the
Playing a
third
really
rank
messy game.
gets locked
Yeah.
in. Oh dear.
I'm not entirely sure what to make of this. Team, like again, this is actually really scary for Team Secret, and it's becoming maybe a through line that we have to pay attention to MBR, that they're able to kind of force teams into these scrappy, messy games where their individually skilled players can come out on top.
I'm wondering if it's a fair comparison to their initial opening game against one team a couple of days ago, right? Where they ran the comp with a Darius Camille, the Irelia. It was an all-in composition, which had the snowball, which had a clear goal in mind, but when it fell behind, they didn't really have the best wave clear, didn't have the best answers to, you know, hold things off. And we're seeing MBR set themselves up in a very similar position, you have to say.
And they're all about these individual carry compositions. They're all about these compositions that rely on skirmishing fights. And like you're talking about, it's very difficult to play competitively because if the other team is coordinated and forces you behind through laning without giving you fights, then you don't start any of those characters with gold leads. And if, for instance, Radians didn't have a gold lead, if he was even in gold right here, he wouldn't have been able to one-shot either of the 2 solo kills he's found.
Well, I won't say anything about that one. We saw nothing. Azar just dives off screen. Now we're going to look to try and find Team Secret with a bit of a revenge. Looking to try and capitalize on the fact that Rivet is down bot side, pushing in waves. The fight descends. That goes to Featherstorm. The flash away afterwards to try and rip them all back and get themselves that kill. They don't find it. It is going to be Tatsuri that dies in second, and, well, Alio has now well and truly been unleashed. He's got all these diving threats, he's got all these assassins, but he's lived through it all.
What a performance in the team fight from both him and Radiance again. MBR show their individual skill, dominate a messy team fight versus Team Secret. They're going to turn on to this Baron and just try and end the game, and they're already doing this. Look at Onion King just in the middle of the map, just working away.
Yeah. I mean, it's much to your point, right? They're hitting with these checkmate situations of you're not winning the lanes, you're not winning the fights, and you're not winning the objectives. 3 Drakes, a Baron. Team Secret need answers quick.
I don't think it's happening this game. I think this is going to be, at the very least, a tied series, which is not the result that fans from the Philippines were looking for. Team Secret are supposed to be one of the best teams in this bracket. This is going to mark kind of the second pretty major upset of the day as we start the day off with Buriram taking a game off of one team. And all of a sudden, this Group A, the more casual group, the group that wasn't stacked, has become very interesting indeed, as a whole bunch of the expected favorites who we talked about having easy exits from the group look like they're folding under the pressure of just mechanical teams with skilled players.
It's going to be a long day for Team Secret. They're playing until the very last game of the night. They need to get up to winning ways nice and early to build on that momentum, to have this self-belief, because as you say, Azar's just gone, Trebor's destroyed, and Radiance is loving life as this Ari.
Yeah, Radiance just dancing through the team fight there, picking up kill after kill, with Alia around the side, providing soak damage now for the turret.
Oh my god.
But behind the turret.
Look at it, TJ. They're everywhere. They're swarming them. They don't know what to do. They're lost. They can't wave clear. They can't fight. And they cannot defend. Triple inhibitors is the acquisition. The Nexus, the only thing left standing. And Team Secret have been sent to the grey screen to stare at that defeat.
And I don't know